Hello everyone and welcome to Cisco Collaboration Group and my channel on YouTube, the Cisco Collaboration Learning Series. And thank you very much for subscribing to my channels and liking my videos, asking questions. I believe you guys are now finding some videos interesting. So I'll just announce again that it's not an official Cisco uh, group on Facebook. It's just for us to learn, and to help understand each other and let the knowledge grow. All right, so today we are gonna discuss about our next important configuration, which is about adding the end user in Cisco Unified Communications Manager using Postman via the AXL API. Right, so without any further ado, let's get started and let's see how can we configure. It's gonna be a quick short video this time. All right, so let's get started. All right, so let's see today, whatever we have configured, and then we'll start further. But before that, let me zoom in something so that you guys can see it a little bit better. All right, so let's log into the Cisco Unified Communications Manager first and see whatever things we have configured until now using the Postman tool. So the first thing that we configured was partition. I think there should not be much partition other than the self-built partition. So yes, we created this provisioning partition using Postman, and then we assigned this partition to a CSS. So this Postman minus CSS was the partition that we assigned, created the CSS, and we assigned the partition provisioning minus PT. And then after that, we created a directory number using bulk as well. But I have created that again. So I'll just show you one of those directory numbers that we have created. So we created, for example, directory number 5001, and we assigned the provisioning minus PT, and then gave it a description, and then we associated. I will show you again. So this is the directory number that we created, and the next step what we did was we created Cisco Unified Client Services Framework. For example, this device, we created CSF user 1, and then we assigned the end user that was already available via LDAP sync. For example, most of the companies have LDAP sync, so this is why I just used one of those users in the script and then assigned it. And then we see that there is a directory number assigned to this device. So this is all that we have done using Postman API with the help of SOAP UI as well. Um, so SOAP UI was just used to copy the script, and then I will tell you later on in my next videos how could you create your self requests or SOAP requests and header without using SOAP UI as well. So this is what we did. And today what we are going to do now is that we will create a new user. For example, I had some small companies and they didn't wanted to have the LDAP integrations with the Cisco Unified Communications Manager. And this is why, not now, but I think a couple of years back they wanted. And sometimes some companies need some of the users who are not LDAP synchronized. So in that case, we could still create a local user on Cisco Unified Communications Manager. And so this is the end user page where we'll be creating this one of the users, because when you go here, add new, you have to see, do a lot of clicks. So until now I have done 2 clicks, and now you add a lot of informations here, and then yeah, here you have 3 click, and then again inside you have 4 5 click, and then at least I think you would need 10 clicks, 10 to 12 or 15 clicks to just create an end user. Let's see how can we quickly create this end user using the Postman once you have the script ready with you. All right, so let's first of all, again, I will show you how would you create an application user. So first of all, before even creating an application user, I would create an access control group so that I can assign this access control group to the application user. I will say uh, Postman ACG, provisioning ACG, whatever it is. And after giving it a name, we will assign a role. Just click on assign role to access control group, and then I will assign standard AXL API access role. That's the one that's needed for getting the access to the Cisco Unified Communications Manager. Sorry, means right. And then here you select standard AXL API access, and then you see add selected. Just save it. All right, just save it. Right, you have your standard access control group ready, and then you can create an application user. I will give it a name as API user, then just any password, whatever you like. Then I would just save it, and then I will assign the access control group here. So the one that we created now, I think we gave it a name Postman, right? Save it. Now we can make use of this. We go to Postman API. So first of all, where I went was I went to SOAP UI, said create new SOAP project, give it a name, and then you can have a look at my first videos or second video, I think, where you will see how did I connect the WSDL file and gave it a name for project, and then how did I get access to these API bindings here. So these are the things that you see. These are the AXL API bindings. So these are the binding requests that are needed as an header when you send a SOAP request. So these are all the bindings that are available. And then I just searched for add user. So I will show you how do you find this in the WSDL file as well, so that next time we just use the WSDL file and XSD file to generate a manual request. So initially it will take a time, but over the period of time, you can develop your skills, and then it would be much quicker when you have your own scripts ready. Okay, so this is what add user request SOAP request would look like, or a test in terms of software developer, how a test for the endpoint would look like. And there's a lot of things are optional, so I just copied it and pasted it in a notepad plus plus file, and then I just entered the information. For example, I said first name is this, the last name of the display name of the user is this, and the last name, which is the mandatory parameter, is this. And then I said okay, this is the user ID that I would like to create for this user1. And then I gave a password pin. I said okay, this is user1 at traincollab.com. So yeah, traincollab.com is just my domain that I'm using, that I have registered. And then which device you want to associate. So I said I have created a Cisco Unified Cisco Unified Client Services Framework, Jabber. I would like to associate that device. And what is the primary extension? So this is the primary extension usually needed for voicemails. And then there is also an option where you could say, okay, I need to assign the partition here, but that's optional parameter, so you could just remove it. And then what are the associated user group? I will say I just need a standard CCM end user group. I would like to associate just with the standard CCM end user group. And then you will say, okay, yeah, I would like to enable the CTI for this end user, and that is credentials. You would usually not need it. It's only needed for example when you have a third-party SIP device, when you like to register with the Cisco Unified Communications Manager. And then this is the presence group name. I said standard presence group. And yes, I would like to have a home cluster checked. Otherwise, the Jabber would not be able to find the home cluster while registering. And then I said, yes, IMN presence enabled is true. Now, and then service profile, this is the wrong parameter because service profile should be default user profile. This one. Don't know why it's not updating this. Okay. And presence group name is correct. That's not a problem. And after this, I would like to associate the user for the line presence. So I'm associating the values. I said associate for the line presence. Yes, that's true. And then which device I would like to associate. I said this is the product type and this is the MAC address or the Jabber name. So wherever there is this CSF user one, you can just replace it with the MAC address, and the product type, for example, 8845 or 8851, whatever it is, and it should be the same for all the devices. It should not be anything different. So I'm just showing it with Jabber, but you could use it with any hard phones, that's what I mean. And then you provide the partition and that's it. So that, now once you do this, then the line would be associated with the end user as well for the presence status. And then I said, okay, I need a directory URI. And usually when you have an LDAP synchronization, it comes automatically wherein you can say, okay, what is the directory URI looking like? For example, you say, okay, it should look like email address, and then it will just associate the directory URI with the email address of the user. But for now, I just created one and I said user1 at traincollab.com. And then I said the telephone number field it has to be 5001, same as the directory number. So once all these informations are added, you could go to Postman. I just created another folder and I said I need to have another request that's called add single user. Then I selected a type of request that's a post request, and then I added HTTPS, the IP address of the Cisco Unified Communications Manager, colon 8443 slash AXL slash. That's very important. If you don't put this slash at the end, it will not create that object, or the instance of that object, right? And then in the authorization header, I will say here API user is the application user that we created currently, and then the password. And this header, so for example, this header is SOAP action, and then this is the value. And where do you get this value from? So let me show you something called as a WSDL file. So sorry, second. Yeah, here you have this because I got one of the questions in one of my videos. How do you get this value? So I get this value, for example, from this WSDL file. There is something called as operation, and then you have the binding on that operation, what needs to be done. So just let me search for add user. uh, User, there has to be an operation called as add user, or it's gonna take time, so I would just search for, let's say, add line. I think that's able to show right now. Yeah, for example, there is this operation name add line, see here, and then there is this SOAP action. This is the header value. So SOAP action, this is the header, and what is the value of this? So this is the value of that uh, SOAP header, right? And then of course the content type needs to be entered, and then content type could be application slash JavaScript or Python or whatever. So for now I'm just using application slash JavaScript. Okay, and then in the body I just copied all the informations from here. I just added it here. No, I didn't do any change, just copy and paste here. And then I would say I just selected, of course, in the body I selected raw and then pasted the information, and then made sure that this is selected as a JavaScript here, and then I said send. And then here you see that it has returned an object UUID. That means an object has been created in Cisco Unified Communications Manager. Let's go on to Cisco Unified Communications Manager and see if this user has been created. So the user ID was user1. I will say the user ID begins with user1, and voila, you see here the user ID user1 is created. And let's see all the informations quickly. Yeah, user1, and then I sent the password and it took that password, user ID, pin, whatever I have set. The last name I set it to 1, it took that. First name, display name, directory URI, it took the directory URI as well. I said telephone number should be equal to the directory number 4001. That's my user ID or mail ID, sorry. And then yeah, these are all the default things. If you leave it default, it's optional, so it will just put in the default stuffs here, or the default information here. Okay, I set home cluster true, it checked that. I said enable for IMAN presence, it checked that. I said user service profile default user profile, use system default user profile, it took that, or if you want a specific user profile, just create that user profile and add that name under user profile, service profile, sorry. So once you create that service profile, you can add the same name here, or if you just want to use a default user profile, then you can put the default user profile name. But it's always needed to have a service profile, so that it could connect for CTI and also for voicemail services, so the jabber could connect to these services. Then we said primary extension, and then it took that 5001 in provisioning partition, and then I said I need to associate in standard CCM end users group, and it took that information as well. Let's see if it associated the device. Yes, it has associated the device, and in the same way there is also an option if you want to associate the UDPs, if you have created. So it's just provide the name of that UDP, and then uh, you could just associate that UDP here, and then let's see if it has associated the line here. Hopefully it has associated the device with the line, and you see here I think it didn't associate it because this is not checked. Could check it from here as well. SF user 1 here. Let's see here if it has associated. Yeah, it didn't associate the end user here because maybe I missed to add that information. But you can add that information as well, and then it will associate the end user with the line for the jabber presence. But I said here, I think line appearance association for presences, and I said true. And yeah, CSF user 1, and then the partition. I need to check this as to why it didn't do this. I will put it in my description if I find something informative as to why it didn't assign, or if I'm missing anything. And I will let you guys know about this, why it did not assign the um, line appearance with the, okay, or why it didn't associate the directory number with it. All right, so at least successfully we have created an end user and associated a device and associated a service profile and associated the primary extension, CCM end user groups. I hope this was useful for you guys, and then I thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope you would implement it in your environment, in your test labs, in your practice, or in your offices, to make your lives easier. In case of any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, and then I would try to find out a solution for you guys as well. Until then, thank you and have a nice day and take care of yourself and your families. Bye bye.